What's going on? This is FerrariLover from FerrariLover, and this is a couple shots of my drum kit. Doesn't have a nickname as of yet, really. It's a drum workshop kit that's been in the making for a lot of years in my life, and I do use it to record samples for my music. It's all DW, kick snare, concert toms, and floor tom. And I have some Zildjian hi-hats on there, and another Zildjian ride. And so I've assembled the pieces of this kit gradually over time. And as you know, like, drums are quite expensive. You do get what you pay for. So there's another video about this on my 𝔤𝔬𝔲𝔬𝔪 YouTube channel where I make videos about my life. But yeah, this is the kit where a lot of sounds for FerrariLover comes from. Actually, it's the drum kit in heaven where all of FerrariLover sounds are recorded live and direct from heaven, outer space. You can see that limited edition Bauhaus book there that's on the kick. I've been a Bauhaus fan for a long time. I first discovered their early goth music in the late 2000s, or mid to late 2000s, when I was living in New York City. I had my time where I had friends performing in the electro clash scene, and I used to drive around in my 2000 Honda Prelude, and I had my partying days, but I've always been quite an introverted person, so I was never, I didn't go out a lot, let's just say, despite the fact that I first really, really discovered goth while living on the Lower East Side. That said, So Alive was a hit when I was a teenager and a preteen, pretty little kid, actually, and that's what first turned me on to goth music in San Diego. And I also lived in LA and Orange County for quite a while. After college, I say I'm pretty much forever 28, forever 29, but I identify as basically a darkly romantic, pioneering vampire type. My personality is a lot like the lead guy in Only Lovers Left Alive, except without the drama, ideally, although it's pretty much relatable. Anyone who knows San Diego old school knows the radio station 91X in the late 80s and 90s was legendary for playing a lot of Depeche Mode, Love and Rockets, even, more obscure bands like the psychedelic Fur, Sisters of Mercy. Like, obviously Sisters of Mercy is not that obscure, but Resurrection Radio, 91X, I definitely give them a lot of credit. I mean, they played it all, and that's so as a kid I was listening to and I think it should be back. We need to resurrect the scene in San Diego. And people will tell you, there's that song by Sisters of Mercy, Black Planet, which I really love, and there's pretty much nothing more goth than driving the 101, listening to Sisters of Mercy. But we want to keep as many weirdos out and as many of the cool goth kids in the scene in San Diego. So I guess I'm definitely a proponent of the fact that you don't have to be like a drug addict or someone who worships evil in order to be goth. In fact, in my opinion, it's much more hardcore to have some type of spirituality, especially if you want some type of immortality. Everyone eventually has to face their demons. So I'm known for the divine light in the darkness, and I've definitely lived the depths of depression and despair and lived to tell the tale. So I'm like legit goth, but it's kind of sad. To this day, I think one of the greatest riffs ever is from Silent Hedges by Bauhaus, but I really can't stand the lyrics, because anyone who's truly, like, you know, truly gone through it, you could understand why I would say that. So I say Going to Heaven Again, because there's nothing romantic about evil things. And I just kind of realized at some point in my career I'd have to talk about that in some way other than, like, my music is, there's a lot of metaphor and there's a lot of, like, straight reality in my music. But anyways, yeah, I've spent my life saving for this kit, and anyone who lives in Cali is also aware how hard it is to have a space to play drums in. So it's definitely a labor of love. And those early, like Kevin Haskins is probably, and of course Stephen Morris of Joy Division, incredible drummers. And I named my record label Lace of Spades, which is a direct reference to a pretty obscure garage psych rock song from the 60s by the artist Dennis the Fox. It's got kind of a subversive name, and it's got very subversive lyrics, but the intro lyrics and the intro drum part is just an absolute masterpiece. So yeah, that song, you'll know it when you see the name. It's darkly subversive, but it's a metaphor for the divine feminine, the way I use it. And there's no, you know, incredible drumming, and the sophistication in post-punk and goth rock is to be worshipped, in my opinion. It takes an amazing level of skill. I heard a drummer recently in an interview, he was saying that drummers think about, you know, you can be a millisecond on or off the beat, you know, 1 second on the 1, 2, 3, 4. Drummers think like that. And so there's a reason that there's been a lot of talk about my drums, because I've spent a lot of my life as a student of the drums. And one of my first guitar teachers was actually primarily a drum teacher. And I learned probably more about guitar from him in a lot of ways in a few minutes than I did from a lot of other people. But anyway, yeah, so this is a divine kit straight from heaven, outer space. Cheers.